vision. So that's what we thought we had to do. And there's an example. It's a little obfuscated, but I gave this talk inside of Motorola to try to increase our availability by leveraging more cloud-native technologies. And at the time, I was a director of engineering for reliability engineering there, and we had a global team, and it was chaos. It was much. I assume it's much like Starbucks, right? It's just wild wrangling people. So, but the goal here was to try to remove complexity by leveraging paying for as much cloud provider technology as possible. And again, the language we had was, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to use Google AWS. And so we were targeting EKS and AKS. And so then when I switched roles, and this new company, our focus is the Fortune 1000 companies. And so there's all these segments, and so we're focused on the Fortune 1000s. And in the Fortune 1000, everyone is still really, really far behind, right? I thought we were behind, but actually, we're all still really trying to figure it out. I mean, there's, 90 people here? So yeah, we're all still trying to figure this out. This was an internal report that, we kind of, so a lot of blended Kubernetes. I have a little asterisk here, right? So when you say Fortune 1000, that's literally any company that has 12,500 employees or more. And if you look here, so AWS, Google, Azure, they all add up to about 30%. Red Hat. There's a lot of Red Hat. No idea. Rancher, VMware, and then this other category. Hold please, we'll get there. But realistically, again, we were targeting EKS and AKS, and when you look at the market, that's not really what the rest of the market's targeting.
It's only 18%.
Wow. I updated this morning, actually. We had another report coming. So
what's the big one?
Anyways, the what?
The big one.
Oh, canonical. Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah.
Can you speak up a little bit?
I'll try.
Thank you.
So these, the question was, what was the pink sliver? And it was Ubuntu canonical. So these are just some of the ways, I don't know if I believe all these. These are some of the ways that our data came back with people are running containers and trying to run Kubernetes, and there's a lot of stuff here that I've never even heard of. So I came up with this diagram, and when I talk to customers, Fortune 1000 customers, this diagram lands. This is what they're targeting. And I was really surprised how much VMware came up. And I remember our engineering teams are like, we don't want to go on VMware, we don't want to run it the hard way, we want to use EKS and AKS. But guess what? Somebody up at the very top has a really good deal with VMware. And so they got a really good deal on Tanzu, and you get told to go run VMware. And it's not that bad because there's actually a lot of folks running VMware.
Gives me a job.
So that's my point. So okay, we'll get to that. But so some examples. Again, I'm trying not to say any names here, but this is this was like week 2 on the job, and this very large toothpaste company came to us and said, we have this application and we want a QR code built into the application. Can you do that? And we said, well, okay, let's take a look at it. And any guesses what this is written in? So it runs on everybody's machine all over this warehouse.
JVM.
No, keep going. It ends with a 6. This is a VB. Yeah, this was an executable. Yeah, and so I said, if I can modernize it, I'll touch it. Fast forward, so we had a lot of engagements. This is actually another company where I learned say yes is you do not say no, right? It's like yes when or yes if, and it worked out. We led to this more complex. We were able to break apart their monolith, and now it's running on Tanzu. Okay. Here's another one. This one, I really tried to obfuscate as well as possible, but so basically we've got a couple teams. One team, I don't know how well you can see this, but one team is basically building, this dotted line here is the Kube API layer. And so they're trying to offer multiple hosting solutions, right? Tanzu, OpenShift, EKS, they're even running K3S in production. Okay. And so we're to help them build this Kube API layer where, kind of to David's point, where the developers, we give them this deploy.yaml cookie cutter, and then these different teams can reuse that, and they can inner source and deploy and, right? So, but the space is wild. So, all right, so here's my takeaway. I thought we were really far behind. In reality, wherever you are, I'm sure it's great. You're not actually as far behind as you think. And then it leads to the second bullet point is the similar, just give yourself some grace. I'm sure somebody somewhere has a deal on some technology, or they want to save money, or they've committed to spending $8 billion in Azure over the next 3 years, and now they're like, guess what? You got to go to the cloud. And you're like, okay, I got to figure this out. And they have to meet this commitment. Some wild stories there as well. But give yourself some grace while you're in there. So then bullet point 3, while you're in there, if you're running Tanzu or Rancher, go get certified on it. Because you're actually probably pretty relevant to the market. Like, you don't have to have all of your AWS certs and all of your Azure certs. You go get certified on Tanzu, like, you're still very relevant to the Fortune 1000 market. So relevancy is my final takeaway. And then I ripped through this slide deck. So you can learn more about Stratascale here. You can learn more about me, connect with me on LinkedIn. And like Phil was saying, I'd be curious to know more what you all want to hear about. I can talk about running a 5.9s 911 Kubernetes-based solution in the cloud. I can talk about all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, let us know. Connect with me. That's it. That's all I got.
Questions for Jay?
Yeah, questions. Yeah, go ahead. No? All right. Go ahead.
Do you see does anyone go back from public cloud back to private?
Yeah. Yeah, we're seeing that a lot.
Okay.
Where after their commit, maybe they didn't meet their commit, and they're now like shifting back and trying to figure it out, or they weren't able to hire a bunch of experts that could give them a 5.9s. So there's always some reason, like, it's wild.
Well,
Everything's still shifting.
We had that at Starbucks, and a lot of the reason for the shifting back and forth is that we can run Kubernetes clusters on premise. And so a lot of it matters, like what services they want to talk to, and also the level of data that they want to. The security team is not keen on having PII data in the public cloud.
Right.
So that's all on premise. And so anytime, now that we have Kubernetes on premise, a lot of the stuff moves back and forth. We have integrations between the two. Some move back to on premise, but we still are mostly cloud first.
There are some applications where, like ships, you need to run a lot of applications on ships, and having Kubernetes in there, you are not going to get AWS to deploy on your ship. Well, okay, they'll tell you they will, but you're gonna need to do a physical deployment on
Right.
the ship, so you're gonna need to manage that.
We are seeing more like Azure Stack and HCI start to show up. I don't know how long it's going to stick, but we are seeing more of that, where they say we've got this hardware, and as people are coming back into the offices, what can we do with it? So, yeah. Go ahead.
So there's a lot of talk about how cloud is expensive and people are going to have to shifting back to on-prem. Do you see that? Do you see people saying, why pay AWS millions of dollars? We can just run our own large Kubernetes clusters and with MySQL and Redis and Elasticsearch, inside our Kubernetes clusters, and Kubernetes is our private cloud, so to speak.
Good question. Let me try to repeat. So the question was, cloud being expensive. Do we see people moving back just due to cloud being expensive? Is that negative?
Well, it's a perception among some people that cloud is
Yeah.
expensive. My personal belief is if you use it right, cloud can be cheaper.
Yeah.
Like
So
stop storing a bunch of garbage data and paying,
Yeah.
petabytes of garbage out there.
actually, speaking of relevance, if you're not FinOps certified, it's really pretty easy. Go get FinOps certified. We are lighting up with people that say, we need a FinOps workshop. And Dovetail just became one of the FinOps corporate partners, gold partners or something. So we're seeing a lot of business. And speaking of relevancy and sales and saving money, it's cost versus utilization is still something that, for whatever reason, when some external company comes in and says, yeah, your utilization on this cluster is only 3%, and this database that you've got in dev is, an 8,000 RU SQL Cosmos DB, like why? When someone externally comes in and tells you that, and then they say, oh yeah, we should prioritize that. Okay. But yeah, we see a lot of FinOps type stuff popping up, and it's going to be hot in the next 3 years.
But my original question is that do you see people saying, let's use Kubernetes as our private cloud, essentially, on-prem?
Well, so what they've done is they invested in Kubernetes knowledge, Kubernetes deployment knowledge, and so when they want to use on-prem software or anything, they say, well, let's go ahead and put Kubernetes on it, and then people know how to use it. So we see that. Yeah, there was one over here. Oh yeah, go ahead.
What happened to the VP6 application? Is it still running somewhere?
So they wanted to run it side by side, and so they're like this panic-driven organization where they've got their AWS and on-prem blend and they use it and they've got their QR code and they're happy with it, but they will not delete this VP6. Yeah. Walk away. Yeah.
We tried.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you all.
Hello everyone, I'm founder CEO here at Edge Delta. Thank you guys first of all for the partnership with Vector Cloud and allowing us to kind of host it and have everyone here. It's pretty exciting. This is definitely by far the most we've ever had in this office from a people standpoint, so kind of excited for that. Edge Delta, kind of what do? We started 4 years ago, and really if we think about my background, I spent about 5 years at Sumo Logic, so poll of hands. Who uses Sumo Logic or Datadog, maybe Splunk, Elastic, New Relic, maybe OpenSearch. Yeah, so a lot of those tool sets, I think we had a gentleman here who said petabytes of data, right? I think he said petabytes of garbage, right? I think the challenge is what we saw at Sumo Logic, which was a multi-tenant system built in the cloud, 100% on AWS, right? Is that when you're dealing with massive data sets, like today, the average customer probably for Sumo Logic, this was 8 or 9 years ago, only had about maybe 10 or 15 gigabytes of data per day they were trying to put in as log data into that solution. Now, at Edge Delta, the customers we work with, we hear 200 terabytes, we hear petabytes of data per day that's being created. So the same systems that were architected for these data sets of 5 or 10 years ago don't scale well to the terabytes and petabytes of data today. And so Edge Delta, much like our name, Edge, what we're trying to do is take a lot of the queries and intelligence and push them as far upstream as possible. When we talk about Edge, we're not talking about it as a physical construct, we talk about it as where's the data being created. So Kubernetes, our platform, is built on Kubernetes. Our founder, co-founder and CTO here could talk to you probably a lot more about it than I could, but we are very Kubernetes native, and our technology itself is designed to run on Kubernetes. So for instance, if you are deploying Kubernetes and you say, hey look, let's go run Edge Delta's daemon set, now all of a sudden you can start analyzing your log data as it's being created within Kubernetes instead of requiring all that data to get logged up in the cloud in some cloud repository before you can even start asking questions of that data, right? That old approach is starting to break down. We believe that's a phenomenal model. We believe that Edge is also a phenomenal model, and the combination of those two can allow you to analyze all your data, do so 100 times faster for a tenth of the cost. So again, we're excited to have everyone here. Thank you so much for coming, and yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions, or maybe I can open the floor for one question.
Does Edge Delta use a proprietary query language, or is it compatible like Prometheus queries or one?
That's a great question. So a lot of what our platform does is actually allow you to kind of distribute the regular expressions and the queries and the machine learning so that you can start analyzing your data before it has to move, right? Which is alternative is let's go move it and index it in the cloud first, then start doing some of those things. And so, yeah, we do have definitely some things proprietary. We also do open source some parts of our product as well. But for us, I mean, it's really about the mechanism of, we're really the only solution that is trying to take this more decentralized or distributed approach to log management. And so it's not so much that we feel like our machine learning or our algorithms or our anomaly detection is the best in the market. It's more that our architecture is very unique in the way that we approach it. So that's probably the best I can give. Yeah.
I have a short question.
Yeah.
Hiring?
Hiring, yes, definitely hiring for specific roles. I'll be honest. Look, we're not going to go.
Sure.
We raised our Series B in April, and our plan was to 3x the size of the company. That is no longer the plan, but definitely for critical roles, we're still hiring.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the CNCF SecurityCon conference is next week. And obviously they want you to go because they have discounted tickets. If you're interested, you can talk to Mark.
Thank you.
Excellent.
It's in Seattle at the convention center, and next week on Wednesday and Thursday over there. So they broke out. KubeCon always had these satellite conferences, and Cloud Native Security Con was one of them. They've broken it out into its own freestanding conference. It's 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday next week at the Seattle Convention Center. Discounted tickets are still available, and I'm speaking. So.
I'm also speaking.
Oh, several speakers are
It's reminding me where it is.
Well, there's a new one and an old one, so I don't know which one it is, because there are now 2 convention centers. But I assume it's in the old one.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's fully open.
The new one, yeah, still. They had a conference there last week, according to the Seattle Times. Anyhow,
Oh, okay.
Cloud Native Security Con at the Seattle Convention Center next week. Tickets are available. Hope to see you guys there. It's a great learning opportunity and answering some of the questions about how do you secure clusters, how do you secure applications.